How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Williams Builds channel. We're back with a mini John Cooper Works today. In the last video we had the engine running and we left it there. Today we're going to get straight back on it and we're going to get the rest of the car built back up, get it on the road, make sure it's not got any faults, and we're going to do some upgrades. The Evoque, for anybody that's wondering, is still waiting on some parts. We've got a niggly problem with the clutch and the cruise control and the parking brake that's stopping us from getting it MOT'd at the moment, but we've got the parts for that now, so hopefully we'll get that done the next week or so as well. But right now we're back on the Mini and let's do it. So it's straight back on with the radiator surrounds, which just clip into place and then refit the cross brace, which is just 3 Torx bolts to refit. This just provides a bit of extra strength to the slam panel and prevents it sagging and flexing, especially when the bonnet is clipped down onto it. After that, it is temporarily back on with a bumper, as I've ordered a new lower piece due to this one being damaged. It just clips in place, but I'll have to take the bumper back off to fit it once I've painted it. This really is the only bit of bodywork with any real marks on it, and for a 2016 car it really is in good condition. It just looks like the previous owner just couldn't judge it when parking and hit a few curbs with it here and there, and there's evidence of it already having been repaired and badly painted, so a nice shiny new one will really go well with the car. The bumper itself is just a few screws along the top, one at each side behind the plastic arches, and then a number of 8mm head screws underneath to hold it to the under tray. Then onto the headlights, and here I fit 3 new mounting screws and adjusted them roughly to how the old seized ones were. This should make refitting and removing the headlights easier in the future, and I also put on a small dab of copper slip on them just to prevent them from seizing again. Hopefully I won't have to take them back out again, but it will be better for any future owners of this car. Fitted them as close to the original position just to make sure they align correctly, and after that, when I close the bonnet, I make sure I do it carefully to prevent it breaking the headlights, just in case I've got it wrong. As they're LED headlights, I really don't want the expense of having to replace them if I do get it wrong. There's now just a few pieces of trim left, including the rubber seals and the air intake, and they just simply push into place, and a couple of screws just holding various bits down. After that, the engine bay is nearly done. I also filled the coolant fully and allowed it to bleed through a few times by just doing a gravity fill, but I must have forgotten to film that bit. Thankfully, that all went okay as well. So one of the bits I didn't know when I bought the car is it's actually got a John Cooper Works Pro exhaust, although it does need new tips, so I've got the carbon tips on there. It was missing this remote, so I bought this remote, so I need to program the new remote in, so we'll see if we can make it work. So engine started. Engine off. Engine start. 1, 2, 1, 2. So you can hear the valves open and shut now, so just try out the valves open. got the working John Cooper Pro exhaust. So since we have the John Cooper Works exhaust, we've actually decided that the best thing we can do is we can also put on some genuine John Cooper Works Pro suspension. So there it is, that's straight from Mini. It's a JCW Pro suspension and it's fully adjustable. I think it's actually made by KW. Yep, it is, it says it on there, but we'll get that on the car, we'll get it set to a nice height, and hopefully that'll just improve the whole experience of the car, and it just finishes it off nicely with the exhaust and everything to match it. And also the car's quite high spec, so it will be a good modification for the car. A job like this can be done quite easily by just using jack and axle stands, but since I have the quick jacks and for quickness, I'm using them so I can do all four corners at once, and it does make it just that bit easier later on when it comes to adjusting the height of the car. So now it wheels off, I start by removing the three 13mm nuts on the suspension turret to release the top mount. On some cars these are hidden behind the scuttle panel or under a cover, but thankfully on the Mini they're pretty exposed under the bonnet and also don't have a strut brace bolted to them like they do on some BMWs, so this makes it a real easy start to removing the suspension. Once that's done, I then remove the top drop link by unbolting the 16mm nut, and then I can remove the hub pinch bolt at the back of the hub and then place a spreader tool in the gap at the back to open it up, and this allows me to lift out the entire standard front coilover spring assembly quite easily. The new coilover assembly uses the original top mount, so all you have to do is remove the top bolt, but you have to be careful as the spring is under tension and you really should use spring compressors to take the load of the spring to prevent serious injury. I really don't recommend doing it this way as some cars spring more than others. Thankfully I have done a good few Minis now and know that there isn't much spring in them, but as I say, if you're doing this at home, please use spring compressors. And as you can see too, as I'm taking it to bits, the dust cover is perished, so I have brand new ones ready to go on there too, just to make sure that the new suspension is kept in the best possible condition for as long as possible. So the dust boot's knackered, but we'll reuse the top mount. I've got new dust boots, so we'll go and get one of them on just now. I've set this about halfway at the moment. Might bring it down a little bit more. Obviously we'll have to see what height it is when it's on the ground, but what I'll do is I'll take a measurement off that one and we'll set the other one the same and we'll put it back together. I then take a measurement of where the spring seat is so I can match it up with the other side using a caliper, but a normal rule would have been fine. I'm just trying to get it as accurate as possible. I then fit new dust covers and fit the top mount to the shock absorber and bring the nut down as far as I can using the impact gun. You can only put it on so far as the strut rod starts to spin, so you then have to tighten it using a vortex ratchet. This is basically a pass-through socket set, as you have to also put a ratchet on the 10mm nut on the top of the rod to stop it spinning. One coilover ready to go back in the car. The refit process is just pretty much the reverse of the removal process. I start by putting the strut back in where it should be and fit one of the top mount bolts just to hold it in place. I then put the bottom of the strut back in the hub and remove the spreader tool to hold it in place and fit a brand new pinch bolt to the hub. Then I refit the drop link and tighten all the bolts up once I'm happy that it's all in place properly. Also, for the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that I initially built up the wrong strut and used the right hand side one. It wasn't until I went to fit it that I noticed the drop link mount on the wrong side. easy mistake to make, even though it clearly says left and right on them. Perhaps I better check my shoes too. But in my defence, BMW 1 Series I've done before, the struts weren't sided, so you can forgive me for making a mistake here, but no matter, I swapped it over and it's all good now. So that's that one done. We'll now move on to the back, get that done, then we'll do the other side and we'll put it back down the ground. We'll just see how low it is and how much height adjustment is required. Removing the rear is even easier. You can remove the bottom shock absorber bolt, and this gives enough movement in the rear axle to be able to push down, and with a little finagling you can pop the spring out of its seats. I think the recommended process is to remove one of the rear trailing arms and drop it completely, but I don't see the point in doing that when I can do it this way, and even though I'm going to have to get wheel alignment done, it won't be as far off as if I had removed it all. Once that's out, the new one just pops into place, and it is a little shorter, and that's half the battle getting it in, and that's half the job done already. Then I can move on to removing the 3 small bolts at the top of the shock absorber to remove the strut, and I do the same process as before to swap over the top mount as I did with the front. The rear shock absorber goes back in using the 3 top bolts and then jacking up the rear arm to align the shock bottom mount with the rear swing arm. I then torque them all to spec, and that is one side pretty much done. You'll have to excuse the rear brakes, they have seen better days, so I will be fitting new ones later on as I can't leave them like that. And if you've made it this far into the video, hopefully you're enjoying it. I have a few more things to do to this cracking little Mini before it's done, so please continue to watch the videos as they come. I've just bought another car which is actually sitting right next to the Mini in this video, but I've been careful hopefully not to show it just yet. But just let's say it is something a bit different and has quite a few more cylinders, so should be some fun too. Please like the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, even share the video if you can. The channel is growing nicely and I really want to be able to keep doing this and push to the next level and hopefully bring better content as we grow. That's one side done. We'll just do the other side and we'll rejoin when we're putting the wheels back on the car and we're going to lower it to the ground. Now I can lower the car to check roughly how the height is going to be. It will settle a little bit, but I want to make sure it's sitting roughly at the stance I want it to sit at and get a rough idea of how it will look. I give the corners a bit of a bounce to settle it a little, but I think the front does need to come down a little bit more. So I will raise it back up again just to take the front wheels back off and adjust again. Again, the good thing about quick jacks is it makes this process a little faster, but you could do it with a jack and do one at a time. The boss even makes an appearance to inspect it here too, now that the hard work is done. With it back in the air, I can actually just adjust the spring by hand. It is all brand new, but it does come with a handy C-spanner just in case you need it. And again, I'm using the caliper just to make sure I get both sides exactly the same for now. I think if I was going to use this car on track, then I would take it to get set up using the corner weights with myself or my equivalent weight in the car just to get the best setup for handling, but for now a good standard base setup will do just fine. Then it's back on the wheel and I'll lower it down once more just to get it checked out, and once I'm happy the last thing I have to do is raise it back up again and finally just tighten the little lock nuts to ensure that the springs don't adjust themselves. Immediately you can see when it's dropped this time, it is sitting so much better and doesn't have any reverse rake like it had before. I probably dropped it another inch on the coilover there, and I think it now looks like how the car should have come from the factory. And don't forget, if the next owner doesn't like the height, then it's really easy to return to a more standard height, but these JCW Pro coilovers by KW should make the handling even better than it already is. These little minis are already known for good handling, and upgrading with factory options to me is one of the best things to do, especially when the car was so well spec'd already. I think that's a much better height, much better arch gap, pretty much matching now, front and back, pretty level. Also want to put different splitters and everything on it once we've repaired the front bumper, so I think that'll do it for now. Just got to jack it back up again, lock the suspension off, then we'll put all wheels on and we'll take it for a road test. So now that the Mini's all back together, I'm just going to do some diagnostics on it just to make sure everything's clear. Just before we take it out on a little road test, we'll try it with exhaust valves closed, we'll try it with exhaust valves open, and we'll just make sure all the suspension's okay in it as well. So that also brings us on to the sponsor of today's video, and that is OBD11. The OBD11 device is more than just a basic diagnostics device. It does do basic diagnostics on most cars, but for VAG Group, Toyota, BMW, Mini, Rolls-Royce, it does so much more. This handy little device is used in 3 million cars worldwide and can do all the basic diagnostics functions. It can reset your service indicator. It can also do some basic coding on the car as well. And I'll run through some of that just now once we've done the diagnostics. So you just plug it into the OBD port and you bring up the OBD11 app. So with OBD11 device connected, I can just tap to scan and it runs through all the various modules, just double checking everything on the car. And there it's came up with 20 faults on mine. So I imagine that is pretty much because I've had the engine out and back in again. So yeah, engine, clutch switches, vehicle voltage, working area, voltage too low. I know it does need a new battery. Injector, open circuit, and it's got various open circuits on other things as well. I've had the seats out to clean the car and various other things. So we'll just clear them all. And it's came back with just a body electronics fault, front passenger door, power windows, no initialization present. No idea what that is because the window all works, so I'm no too concerned about that just now. That pretty much tells me the car is healthy. So if you want one of these handy little devices, then use the link in the description below. Also there's a discount code there, WBuilds. That gives you a handy little discount on the device itself. You can also use it to do things like tell it that it's got a new battery, and just as an example, one of the things we'll do, if you can look, it does the rear brake pads reset, engine oil reset, you can change the side marker lights, you can change your radio frequency, or you can turn on the Bowers and Wilkins audio menu, which I'm going to do. And just for an example, I'll just turn on the acoustic lock confirmation, and that just, it beeps when you lock and unlock the car. So that way if you're in the house and you just want to make sure the car's locked, just give it a little press of the button and it'll tell you audibly without having to go outside. So just taking Mini a little road test, and so far going over the first speed bumps coming out the street, there is no knocks, no bangs, it's driving absolutely nice, and with lowered suspension often the car can be a bit crashy. It actually doesn't feel too much more stiff than normal, maybe a little bit more stiff than it was before I changed the suspension, but it certainly isn't just like sticking an old set of Warren springs on and having the car where it just crashes over the bumps. Really does feel nice so far. And we'll just take it a little spin now and just we'll try the exhaust valves to see how they work, and we'll just see how the car is in general. now out on the road, driving it on the road with the exhaust valves closed at the moment. It does sound a little bit nicer than a normal John Cooper Works exhaust, and that's with the valves closed. It's certainly not loud inside. And now we're going to go for opening the valves, and it's double click the button. That's the valves open now. The valve's open now. Actually quite a fair bit louder. It's not boomy inside, it actually sounds quite nice. Certainly it should make a difference if the car's on track. Actually quite good pops and bangs off it as well. So that's going to be it for today's video, folks. Thanks for watching. There's probably got to be one more video on the Mini where we'll fix the damage to the front bumper, and we'll put some more body kit and trim on it just to get it finished, and then we'll get it ready for sale. Once again, if you've liked the video, please subscribe, please like the video, please share the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.